Welcome to the Verdin Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. You made it to the midpoint of the week, Wednesday. One more stream. Next time you see me, it'll be Friday. We're going to actually celebrate. Got some interesting news for you today. LSU hired 2 new coaches to their staff. Got some Senior Bowl information, some updates on your Tigers performing. Looking to head on to the NFL. Then we'll talk former offensive coordinator Joe Brady, his new promotion, if you will, with the Buffalo Bills. Some Saints news that might make a few Saints fans a little upset, but what's new in New Orleans? Let's jump right into this. The Tigers made 2 additions to their coaching staff, one from Georgia, one a former Ole Miss Rebel. 2 interesting signees. I think that they're both assistant-type roles. I think they do hold special positions, though. I think there's something to be said about having an experienced former player in your building, or even if it's just a Samford quarterback or an Ole Miss Rebel running back who didn't get much playing time. It's the fact that you're in the situation that these kids are in. I like those type of coaches because you get more respect from your kids. And in Ty's situation, the guy on the left, Georgia assistant head coach Kirby Smart, he's a younger coach as well, 25 years old, fairly new into this career field. He'll work on the offensive side. The role will be focused more towards quarterbacks, tight ends. He used to play quarterback at Samford for 3 years, I believe. Father was a coach over there. And in Fred McAfee's instance, the guy on the right, he's a former running back for Ole Miss. And they both polish off a nice experience class, right? Like if it comes in, he brings in a bunch of pieces, whether it be former NFL coaches, former college coaches, all people from walks of life to be able to really, I don't want to call it one of the most experienced staffs LSU's had in years, but there's just a lot of help across the board. There's a lot of co's. There's a lot of assistants. There's a co-DC, a co-OC. You got multiple wide receiver coaches. You got multiple running back coaches, multiple quarterback coaches. There's a lot of hands on deck to be able to alleviate some of the task, if you will, that these coaches are going to have to do on their day-to-day. The more brains in there sometimes worry you. Sometimes, that old adage, too many chefs in the kitchen. But in this regard, he's working under Charlie Weis. And I'll even go out on a limb and say the other day we're worrying about, Charlie Weis is talking to Philadelphia. And just the overall offensive coordinator tag in college football, it's a bridge job. Normally, you're not going to be an offensive coordinator forever. A lot of people that are in those positions are inevitably going to become head coaches one day. Charlie Weis won't really be any different. I guess what I say that to say Blake Baker next year will be a commodity and a name to watch. Last year, he gets interviewed by multiple teams for a head coach position. Now you're going to have to worry about that. Now you're going to have people in the building that are potentially your next coordinators up in the event of Blake Baker leaves, in the event of Charlie Weis leaves. Now, I'm not trying to say that Ty Hatcher is a shoo-in for the offensive coordinator spot in a world where Charlie leaves, but he's already had experience not only with Charlie and Lane, but with multiple high-level coaches. Ty Hatcher's worked with Nick Saban in Alabama. He's worked with Jimbo Fisher in Texas A&M, Blake Venables in Oklahoma. He's got his ring around the SEC. He's got some experience. I think he was a grad assistant at Oklahoma. Regardless, he's cutting his teeth in a way where I could see him being a coordinator or something else down the road. That's what these jobs normally turn into. And then Lane Kiffin can enter his Nick Saban era, if you will, and get that coaching tree developed, because we always talk about that Nick Saban coaching tree. Now it's Lane Kiffin's turn to be able to add another person to that list. I do like the fact that you're hiring all of these pieces, though, because as long as you've got clear, understood roles, I feel like more brains in the building is only a good thing, especially on an offense that was a little bit lackluster through the last few months, if you will. I think you can only benefit, especially, Lane Kiffin walks in the door. He's got a system. He's got a process, if you will, that he's been able to work and refine. But now, every single move he's making, whether it be in the portal, the recruiting class, the staff, there's all a clear movement that the program's going on. It's an upward trajectory. And like I said, it's one of those pieces I think that could definitely be promoted, at least, because it's not the first time we've talked about losing a coach in Charlie Weis. We talked about Blake Baker. It won't be the last time. It'll continuously happen. They'll continually pop up into interviews and just coaching searches. So it's a name to watch for sure. Now, with McAfee, he's a good get as well. He is the son of former Saints running back Fred McAfee. And like I said in the beginning of the segment, guys love these type of coaches in their room, especially like Kevin Smith. That's the same type of coach as well. He played the NFL, former running back. It's just something to be said that you were in their shoes, walking their same path, heading down their same exact journey, if you will. I think kids definitely get you that respect more. And obviously Fred, former running back, working with running backs. Now Ty, Sanford quarterback, now working with quarterbacks here at LSU. It'll be very, very interesting. Yeah, Damon's talking about the co-OC in the chat. Yeah, no, this guy's not co-OC. He'll be a top analyst. He was a special analyst to the head coach, Kirby Smart. My point is just the fact that you have options if you had to promote from within. Like same scenario with the Buffalo Bills. They couldn't find their head coach. They promote from within. They go get Joe Brady. Ole Miss does the same thing. Don't really have a candidate in mind. Promote from within. We'll get Pete Golding. He's got the system. He's been in the building. Hypothetically, if LSU loses Charlie Weis, you could potentially see a similar path, at least, with Ty. Not to say it's going to happen, but you have options there, in my opinion. Senior Bowl, let's talk about this real quick. I want to give Garrett Nussmeier some credit, man. I can't lie. I've been seeing a couple of clips from him. I've been seeing a couple of just reactions on where he could be in this draft. And I want to kind of stick my neck out for him. I ain't going to lie. So the first thing that I want to talk about when we say Senior Bowl, we'll give credit to some of the other LSU names here first. Aaron Anderson, Chris Hill, they've been showing off, running the one-on-ones, creating space, showing the speed off. Harold Perkins as well has been getting some praise. Not even just from speed, though, from a coverage standpoint. People are talking about his IQ. People are talking about his ability to be able to fill gaps. Just a very intelligent and instinctive linebacker, and you get that through the experience he's had at this level at LSU, whether it be changing positions, moving around, trying to be the star, or whatever the case may be. He's put himself in a spot to be able to understand the game a lot differently. Rather than just see ball, get ball, now he's able to help him pre-snap or during coverage sets. He's able to actually move around and be an asset comparatively to a liability, because some people that are just predominantly pass rushers can get lost in the sauce whenever it's time to throw the ball. Now, for the Senior Bowl, the person with the most to gain is undoubtedly the man on the screen, Garrett Nussmeier, your man under center. He gets to show not only he's healthier, not healthy, he's not 100% yet per him. He's still got some things to work on, but you're able to show you got that zip. You still got that arm. You're still able to let it sling, let it ride, if you will, let it fly. And it's hard as a football fan to be able to watch what happened with LSU last year and just blame it solely on him. And I know a lot of people are going to give them flack and say that he could have did better and that there's just a lot of mistakes that have happened. If you are a quarterback with no offensive line, it's almost impossible to get anything going. I mean, you got no protection. It's very hard to create. It's very hard to make decisions. It's very hard to sit in the pocket and trust your men up front when they're constantly getting beat. And now you don't have as much time to be able to understand, to be able to watch your routes develop, to be able to make a choice on where you're going to throw the football. And then not to mention, when you have zero protection, there's no run production, and there's no run game, and nobody can get the ball down the field rushing. That creates a one-dimensional offense where everybody knows, fans, coaches, scouts, whatever the hell, they all know Garrett Nussmeier is throwing the football. And if that's the case, you see situations like on the road in Oxford when you're playing Pete Golding and they're rushing 3, dropping 8, and you're still giving up pressure. It's just one of those situations where it's hard to put blame on him. It's a lot of stress on anybody's shoulders, nonetheless a quarterback, a hurt one too, to play in that spot. I mean, he's limited. He's not able to throw to his best of his abilities. I mean, I'm not trying to say he was never mobile, but the mobility definitely gets worse after you have the worry of the knee sleeve and all the preseason theatrics before week 1 even ensued. The end of fall camp, people were worried about Garrett Nussmeier and his health. And then you roll into the season and he looks good for a couple of weeks. And then boom, there's a torso injury now that they're worrying about, when at first it was a knee. And there was just so many things up in the air, not to mention at the end of the year, the damn coach gets fired. So it's really, really tough for me to knock Garrett Nussmeier for the performance that he put on this year when there was no offensive line, no run production. The play calling seemed very lackluster. Everything was on him in that regard. If they all know you're passing and they can send 3 to still get pressure and your line's still getting chopped cheese, who else are you leaning on? Who can you lean on? You can't lean on the O-line. You can't lean on the play calling. You can't lean on the running back. And then you're hurt. You're not even 100%. It's just a really, really tough situation. And I do think that your situation is everything. I can't lie to you. It's 100%. I mean, me and our guy G Sports say it all the time. You are only as good as your situation. You can't put a quarterback in a spot where they're not getting protected and they don't have any distribution of the run and the offense is solely on their arm and expect them to be able to produce well. Now, can you find a diamond in the rough or a one dime in a dozen? I'm sure. It's really tough to put that quarterback in that spot, though. I'll go on a limb and say other quarterbacks would have had as much of a problem. Quarterbacks in the same very draft class. There's not many that I'm going to put above Garrett Nussmeier. He's definitely in that top 4 quarterback range. I'd imagine he'd be a day 2 pick. And he's still got time to be able to show it. You still got the pro day. You still got the combine. If there's anybody in the NFL draft entirely, no doubt at LSU, but quite frankly, in the draft as a whole with more to prove, it's Garrett Nussmeier. I don't think there's anybody. I think the hype around him, it's starting to build. At the Senior Bowl, he's only got a couple other people to compete with, too. Taylor Green, Luke Altamar. They're not close to him. They're not close to Garrett Nussmeier. I can't lie. It'll be interesting to keep watch. I think that everybody has to realize the situation that he was in. I can't lie. I think if you give him a good combine, a good pro day, he tests well, shows off the arm, shows off that he's healthy, his draft stock is going to soar. His draft stock is going to soar. That's what I think. You got the tools to succeed at the next level. Sure, it didn't happen at LSU. Sure, you would have rathered this run to end better. You still are able to provide. You are still able to be a benefit, or you're somebody that will help a team improve, rather. If somebody adds Garrett Nussmeier to their team, I think he makes them better. There is a spot for, I'm not trying to even say that he will be this forever. I'm just trying to say that in his first year, I'm sure he'll be the backup. There is a spot for the backup in the NFL. There is a pivotal role being a backup quarterback that goes over a lot of people's heads. Now, it's not the glamorous job. It's not the best job in the world. You still get paid to play football. You're preparing a scout team D. You're helping them prepare like you're starting for the game just in case the quarterback gets knocked down. It's still a job. And then if you look at the career, in terms of his LSU career, 3rd in pass yards, 4th in pass touchdowns. He's up there with names like Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, Jamarcus Russell. Now, getting in the door is not the question. Everybody knows he's going to get in the door. It's about what can he do once he's in there. That's going to be the big key. Where does he go? How does he benefit from his situation? I think that he's a very misunderstood prospect in this draft class. That's just my opinion on it. I think Garrett Nussmeier will be a very, very big benefiter from the combine and pro day season, and I think his draft stock will soar. Joe Brady, Bills head coach, former LSU offensive coordinator from the 2019 season, is now a head coach in the NFL for one of the top teams, Buffalo Bills. Had an interesting end to the season, if you will. Almost made the AFC title, lost in overtime to the Broncos by a field goal. Controversial. Is it a pick? Is it not? Whatever. Now, they did what we were kind of talking about earlier in a sense where you promote from within to keep continuity on your team. But also, it's just kind of like a balance between the NFL not having that many quality candidates, if you will. There's a lot of teams looking for a head coach. There's a lot of teams scratching that itch. The Giants, the Titans, you got the Steelers, you got the Ravens, you got just a bunch of teams. Falcons, I believe, are in there. Everybody's hiring a head coach. It was very similar to the college regime. I think this was a very clear message on how limited the options were. I mean, they're even interviewing Phillip Rivers. I mean, it's like they didn't have many. This is a decent enough pick. Smart choice, I think, especially he's already in your building. He's been around your guys. He's an offensive mastermind with the right pieces around. I just don't think the Bills had the pieces around them to be able to succeed. And I got some statistics to be able to back that up. But the playmakers have not been there since they've lost Stephon Diggs. And I know they've tried to get Keon Coleman, and I know they tried to get other pieces. It just has not panned out. There's no superstars on the perimeter for Josh Allen, the league MVP. He's having to create it all through him. And I know that great quarterbacks can make a receiver, but I'm just saying, look, leading Bills wide receiver at 700 yards. The next 2 in production in terms of the statistics are tight ends. He only had 2 receivers. One was a tight end, get over 500 plus yards total. If you compare him to other teams, Seahawks had 3 receivers get 500 plus. Patriots had 4 receivers get 500 plus. There's production across the board distributed evenly on these NFL teams that are making it deep in the playoffs. You got depth, you got an ability to be able to withstand injuries, you've got all kind of things that come with that. You've got creating confusion against a scheme, you're having to play people true. You can't just sit here and double or bracket. There's a lot of things that come with weapons on the perimeter. And I just don't think that they were able to address that one. My camera's going on. Okay. How are y'all doing? Okay. Technology people. But it's an interesting situation for the Bills because this is a transitional period, if you will. Like them making this hire can go one of 2 ways. The Bills can slam their Super Bowl window shut. It can shatter glass rain on everybody, and Buffalo is in a questionable point. Or this could be the decision that, is the catalyst to actually get them past the AFC title and potentially in a Super Bowl. I hate to break it to you, even if they beat the Broncos, I don't think they were beating the Pats. I don't think this, at least with the football that we saw on the screen, I just don't think that this would have been the year. Now, if you make some changes, if you can get some key pieces, I think you're able to show off some value. I think you're able to kind of make a good enough turnover period because your division's not like, you're not at the bottom of the barrel. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Patriots are probably still going to be a competitive team at the top. You could be 1A, 1B in that division, though. And I want to go out on a limb and say, back to the point about there wasn't many options at head coach. Dog, the Steelers hired Mike McCarthy. From Tomlin to McCarthy. I know the Tomlin era didn't end well, but neither did the Cowboys era with Mike McCarthy. Sometimes you just got no options. None. And when everybody's firing coaches at the same time, you got to have a plan. You can't just knee-jerk react and send people on their way packing. You're going to put yourself in a bind if you do that. Let's talk about Demario Davis, keeping NFL related. All right, Saints fans. I told you you're going to be gripping your heart by the end of this. Here you go. Start gripping it. Punched in the gut. Demario did an interview with Kay Adams, and he pretty much said it's time for him to test free agency. So hold your breath, New Orleans. It was a simple question. She asked him, where are we in the process of making you a Saint in 2026? And he gave an interesting response. He said he's returning to the NFL in 2026. And he specified, I am returning to the NFL, pretty much insinuating that if the Saints don't want to pay me what I want, I will be back, but I won't be back here. Now, I got a couple of opinions on this. First, I don't blame him. I don't blame him. When you look at his career history, dog, he's played at the Jets, the Browns, and now the Saints. This guy's had the worst luck of all time. And I don't even say that to be funny. I say that to be serious. It's a real observation. The Jets suck, the Browns suck, and the Saints suck. Now, can they get better? Obviously. But through the last few years, it's been a shit show. And unfortunately, he's been a part of it. But he's 37 years old. This is 100% the last chance he has at a bag. Go get it. Why not go get it? If the Saints don't want to pay you to struggle over there, somebody's going to cut you that check. And somebody might even cut you the check. That's a competitive team. That's a championship squad. One last ride at the ring. And it's no secret that, older defensive players on the Saints saw the trajectory of this team. Tyrann Mathieu at the beginning of the year retired. He didn't even want to step out on the field. And now I'm not trying to say that that's why he did it. It's just to say that the writing is on the wall. And then especially for a guy like Cam Jordan, we had a conversation on this show. Cam Jordan, is he coming back or not? That's a question that has to be had. I think it's definitely a coin flip. We were wondering if Demario's coming back, and he just alleviated all the concern. There's no more concern anymore. He's coming back. But where does he play? He wants to be compensated, and I guess we all do. Now, of course, here's another thing. This is the second thing that I want to say. That's the answer you got to give when you're actively negotiating with a team. If you're that close and they're about to give you what you want, and the Saints are about to give him that deal, about to cut him that check, he's about to get millions, and he can get that one last ride, why sit there on the show and say, yeah, I'm going back to the Saints? Yeah, I'm making it work. It's not done yet. So it's not a panic situation where it's 100% guaranteed he's gone. I'll say that. The Saints still do have a very good chance. And it's almost like, why would you let this man walk? You're paying everybody. You pay everybody regardless. You pay Taysom Hill $10 million a year. Just pay this man. Pay the man. Pay the man his money. He deserves it. He's a very good piece of that locker room, very good piece of the defense. Don't matter who you draft, sign, whatever. He can pass the torch to just about anybody. Stutzman, Pete, Alante, it don't matter. Don't matter. He can pick somebody. Kool-Aid, it don't matter. I think he's a very good piece. Been a great Saint for many years for sure. He deserves the last contract. He deserves the last contract. And man, somebody gotta, if he doesn't get a contract with the Saints, somebody gotta bless this man. Somebody gotta bless this man because he's been on some rough teams. Jets, Browns, Saints. It can't get worse than that. It really can't get worse than that in the NFL. I'm sorry. All right, we're going to wrap it up with a Darian Mensah talk, and then I am out of here until Friday. So the former Tulane and Duke quarterback entered the portal, but there's a bunch of drama all over the place. It was kind of like the Prince Wells stuff, kind of like Demond Williams. The transfer portal, there will be a lot of changes from now until the next time that we talk about the transfer portal in the January 2027 window. I will say that. People were wondering how the one portal window would affect teams in the Natty, like a Miami, like in Indiana. They both got their quarterbacks now. The Natty runner-ups get their quarterback. Indiana gets their guy in Josh Hoover. But I'll say this, Miami, I believe they are building something for the future, something very sustainable, something very impressive. You go from Cam Ward to Carson Beck to Darian Mensah. The last three quarterbacks you've had have been phenomenal. I'm going to be real. I thought Carson Beck was very good at Miami. Cam Ward, obviously, number one pick. And Darian Mensah, I think, has the ability to be able to follow suit and continue that trend. I really like this kid, especially since his time at Tulane. I really thought after his time, by the way, shout out Jake, film guru Jake Hardy, man, looking at Darian Mensah tape, put me on game. I thought since his time at Tulane that he is I would say an SEC caliber quarterback. Now, when I say that, I'm not trying to just scoff at every other conference and make it seem like you getting there isn't a big deal. All Power 4 jobs are good, especially when you're in the ACC, because as we saw this past year, it's an easier conference to be able to represent the playoffs. And I hate to say that, it is. You have a conference champion in Duke with 5 losses. So, I mean, shout out to them and the run that they went on. But the ACC, I think, is very, very doable, as well as the Big Ten. Regardless, though, Mensah has had that potential for quite some time. He goes to Duke. A lot of people scratching their head. Was that the right move? There was some NIL money involved that obviously probably swayed his decision. But whatever. You know, now this is exactly how it went. At the end of the year with Duke, he signed an extension for NIL, very similar to Demond Williams. The extension had contract verbiage that said they own his NIL exclusively, and he can't leave. He can't go to another team. Naturally, the quarterback chaos kind of ensues. Ty Simpson goes to the draft. Dante Moore stays at Oregon. Just a bunch of teams are kind of getting desperate, if you will. Miami being one of them with a big bag. They miss on Sam Levitt. They miss on everybody else. And now they come calling to Darian Mensah. They make a few calls, find interest, and inevitably Duke and Darian Mensah settle on Tuesday. He enters the portal, and now he is committed to Miami. But he brought the top Duke wide receiver with him as well. Cooper Barcade went on the visit with Mensah to South Beach. Heartbreak City. Heartbreak City. Miami plays Duke November 14th, so I thought that's interesting. I had to note that as well, especially because it's extra personal now for Manny Diaz. He's the head coach at Duke, but he was the head coach at Miami 2019 to 2021. So not only are you playing your former school, but you're playing your former quarterback and wide receiver who just got plucked from a conference rival. Mario Cristobal. He's balling. And then here's another next-gen stat for you. Reportedly, allegedly, no buyout on the deal. No buyout. This is why I think that the portal era will have a lot of changes. You don't got any guarantees. Commits don't mean anything. Last second, an NIL offer can come in and just whoop, take your guy from you. There's going to have to be some changes to this regard, to this system. And I think it'll happen as soon as next window. I can't lie to you. I'm about to get out of here. This has been the Verdin Verdict. I'm your guy, Jacob Verdin. Remember, this is my final soapbox moment for you. Garrett Nussmeier's draft stock will go up. I'll say we didn't warn you. Appreciate y'all. Hit that thumbs up. We're out of here.